And now, Gimmick Infringement.
Welcome, everybody, to the Gimmick Infringement Podcast. I am Brad Winchester, and with me, as always, is my tag team partner, Tyler McDowell Blanken, TMB, if you will. It is Sunday as we record this. I'm still kind of tired for the first week back, but Tyler, how we doing?
I bet you are, man. It was quite the weekend. I'm doing great. I was telling you on Friday night, I caught up with one of my best friends from college, who I learned is being inducted into his high school's Hall of Fame. He ran track and played basketball in high school and then ran track at U of A. And he got a notice recently that he's being inducted for his athletic and academic and prowess and just being a great dude. I was like, oh my gosh, how are we at the age where we could be in the Hall of Fame for high school? That's
wild.
Exciting and wild and super proud of him. And then I was telling you, I was texting you, Brad, on Saturday. I went to Uptown Farmers Market in kind of Central Phoenix area. Really big deal, apparently. It was my first time. And pickleball followed. Brad Winchester. I'm telling you, pickleball is where it's at. And this time, it wasn't just the old timers club. There were lots of youngsters out there. So I feel loved. I feel fulfilled this weekend. I can't wait to hear about your first week back. I'm all ears.
First of all, Freya is a bit of a pickleball phenom. She's really good.
Say what?
Already. Yeah. She's gone a few times with Jess and her mom. And I know I'll like it once I go. I just don't want to get up. I'm comfortable here. I did play lumberjack earlier today. I had my log splitting axe out and I was chopping down some of the mesquite in the background.
Listen, that's got to be a workout in and of itself.
I was huffing and puffing. I needed to get some aggression out. Apparently it felt good to split some of those logs. And then I ended up filling the rack back up and I was like, I got to stop. I still have a bunch to do, but there's nowhere to put them right now. So I'm just going to wait, not overdo it. Tyler, it was speaking of wood splitting and wood in general. This week was a lot of welcome back. I got to figure out where we are. What are we doing? I had a new student in my mental and social health class. Welcome back, kid. The entrance is closed. Go through the library. That was exciting. I had a bunch of other kids that I haven't seen in a long time. New student in my stagecraft class. Really exciting time. And the musical's beginning. And it's time to figure out the set and figure out the tech and figure out all these things. But first things first, we got to clear out the shop. We got to get rid of all the old stuff. We got to get rid of the cage. We're gonna clean it. We're gonna set it up the way that it makes the most sense for us, because that hasn't been done in ever. So we were in there just tearing it a new one this week, and I'm really excited about man, these kids work so hard about all the progress. And on Friday, I was like, oh, I'm gonna leave. Jess started texting me. It's like, hey, I'm still at work. Freya's still at Leap. Can you go? She's probably ready to get out of there at this point.
Happy belated birthday, by the way, Jessica.
Yes.
Shout out to you.
29 again. She had been there for hours, and this is about 3:30. Our school gets done at 2:25 on Fridays. Okay. And one of my students, shout out to Rowan, was moving the lumber around, had moved the tables during sixth period from one side of the room to the other by themselves. And just scooted them across the floor, put them in place. And we're going to put the wood back up against the wall on the side where the tables used to be. Kind of irrelevant. But I was like, well, hopefully they do it safely and not in a dumb way. And I think they just picked up 2 sticks, just 2 2x4s, and was moving it that way. And they had their hands, Tyler, like this and needed a better grip. So slid up to grab them. They were wearing gloves. It was fine. Tyler, they came around the back and bumped into me and we were like, hey, I got a sliver. This was not a sliver. Actually, it was a sliver. I have a splinter. It was not a splinter. It was a sliver. This thing was a little over an inch long. Initially, it was much longer than an inch long, but broke off under the skin in the forearm when they slid their arm up this, and it snapped off underneath. So I'm like, all right, we'll go take care of it. And they were in great spirits, not crying or anything like that. It looked like it was deeply unpleasant because it was deeply embedded. And it was a jagged little edge. So it was like, if you could, normally a sliver, you can just kind of work it back out. No. So,
in this case, yeah.
No. So I busted open the first aid kit, brand new first aid kit, had a little pair of tweezers in there. These plastic tweezers are like, I don't know, 1/8 of an inch thick on either side. So unless you have a 1/4 inch hole in your arm that I could easily get into, Ain't no way I'm using those things.
I
So
was going to say, okay, Doc Samson. I see.
yes, absolutely
saving
not.
lives.
Absolutely not. So I was like, I can't use these. Let's go to the nurse and hopefully she's still here. And she was, and was like, oh, let's see if I can pop. Nope, you're gonna have to go to the urgent care, kid. Let me call a parent for you. And it was like, were you being unsafe? It's like, I was not messing around. All I did was move my arm up. Stuff happens like
Mr.
that.
Winchester can vouch for me.
Yeah, in full disclosure, this has happened to me at least 5 or 6 times. Usually it doesn't break off, but I had a sliver in my arm that was 4 or 5 inches long one time. About an inch and a half of it was under the skin, and I had to pull it out like a steak, like I was a vampire being attacked. So I had I had a pretty good bruise and a hole in my arm, and it bled a little bit. Just cleaned it out as much as I could and put a Band-Aid on it, got back to work. And it didn't really hurt all that much, outside of the shower. Those are always the worst spots. But they went to the urgent care. Urgent care couldn't do it. They had to go to the
where's
ER.
The nearest one? I want to say, is it Cortero?
Well, it depends. To us, it's probably MHC. It's probably MHC Health over on Marana Road, or off of Marana Road, that Sanders Marana Road. I think there's one on Cortero. There's there's also the urgent care / ER that's over by the outlet mall now. So
right, yeah, by that hotel.
That's probably where they ended up going. I don't know the details. I just know absolute champ through all of it. Got one stitch, and the message I got from them was, "I'm absolutely keeping this thing."
Let's go, Rowan.
Yes, right. Yeah, absolute boss move.
Rowan, early front runner for biggest winner of 2025.
100%.
Year-end episode coming in about 11 months.
And I was thinking about that's when pro wrestling attitude meets working backstage in the shop. There's a lot of overlap in that theater. There's a lot of overlap. Some of it's literal. Shout out to Fallen Gray, pro wrestler here in the state of Arizona. It was a really sobering experience to go, I was over here worried about these heavy lights being lowered down with a rope from the meat locker where we keep all of the old lighting equipment, and not worried about a kid moving a couple of 2x4s. And then it turns out the 2x4s are where the accident happened. So you just never know. Stuff happens all the time.
Yeah. Jim Duggan made it look so easy. Just carrying these things around.
He, in fairness, his was cut. He wasn't holding the 8-footers. He wasn't holding the 8-footers, and he was only holding one of them.
Yeah, context matters.
Yes, absolutely, it does. But it was a great week back. It was a very busy week back, but it was a very productive week back. I'm actually really looking forward to this week because it is a shorter week in terms of having students and planning and all of that. We have a Friday PD day. I'm getting trained up on the auditorium this week, and then we got a long weekend to celebrate MLK. So I'm really looking forward.
That's right. The 20th.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. It's amazing how that week after leads into a week where you're like, oh, thank God we have a break. It's only been a week, and it's already like, oh, I'm absolutely done. Sad state of affairs, Tyler, but not in 19 Media. We're going to have to play that music because it's time for the state of 19.
Late breaking news from the world of 19 Media.
We're excited to welcome, not recommend, but we recommended it as well, Robin Nathaniel and his show, Land the Talk, to the network. Every week, Robin delves into his journeys of TED and TEDx speakers. Tyler, we are no stranger to TED and TEDx as classroom teachers, especially in a high school. It's pretty awesome. Follow him at Believe in Fantasy. That's BLEAVIN Fantasy.
Yeah, congrats, Robin. Welcome to the team. Speaking of which, Brad, I not only recommend this next gentleman and his work, but I endorse him, if you will. Jabari Davis, former guest, definitely friend of GI. In case you missed it, he is back with 19 Media. We encourage you to check out the Mixed Company podcast hosted by Jameson and Classy. Now, Jabari produces the show, and the guys discuss the latest happenings in boxing. In a recent episode, they discussed their favorite fights of 2024 and provided a review of the new film, The Fire Inside, which I've heard great things about. You can follow them at Mixed Co Podcast.
As boxing fans, I wonder how they felt about the Ring for the Netflix debut, because it was giving me boxing and MMA vibes. I actually really liked it in terms of presenting what looked like a fight. I have no problems with that. I thought that was pretty cool. The NFL playoffs are here. They're happening right now as I'm getting text messages about rage and anger about the Packer game. Mo and Mike are releasing new installments of Hidden Gems football ahead of the action each week. Mike is also dropping a special episode of the Salty Thoughts of Mike Stepp this week, welcoming indie wrestler Larry Anderson back to the show. Follow them at Mike Steffens _ and at APowerMojo.
Desmond of Hip to the Games dropped a new episode. He shares his predictions for this year's NBA All-Star rosters. You can and should follow Desmond's show at Hip to the Games. That's a number 2 DA Games.
Callan Warren dropped a new edition of the Baseline NBA podcast. They discussed the saga of Jimmy Butler in Miami. Oof, all of that, and poor Pat Riley. This is all nuts, man. And other news from around the league, follow them at NBA Baseline. I don't know if I should say poor Pat Riley. He's had a pretty good go.
Yeah, we like Pat Riley over here. Jimmy Butler, possibly a future Phoenix Sun. We shall see. More on the Phoenix Suns later, Brad Winchester. That I promise you. In the meantime, sticking with hoops, join Ricky and Kwame on the Late Night Lake Show podcast, where they discuss the latest headlines surrounding the Los Angeles Lakers. You can follow them at Late Night Lakers.
Gerald of Heavy in the Paint welcomed former NFL pro Nick Ferguson to discuss his career in the league's state. Speaking of states of things,
Very
you
on
can
brand.
follow Gerald at Gerald BLSS.
Finally, Jessica and Carmen debuted their new show, A Prude Awakening, last fall. You can check out their 3 episodes to learn topics ranging from politics all the way to community issues and much more. Watch out for their new episodes of Prude Awakening and their sister show, yes, they have a second, Small Town USA, very, very soon. You can follow Jessica at JESTAMOU, Jestamu, and Carmen at Carmen J. McDonald.
I still feel like I robbed her of a really good name. Saint Amour is just
Fantastic.
oh, it's so good. Winchester's not bad.
Winchester's solid.
Yeah, it's a good name. It's especially good if you're a gun lover. It's not great if you're not. It's Saint Amour, Saint of Love to Winchester is
It's big time.
bit of a downgrade, but I still love it. That's why it's Jestamu. She's the best. Hopefully they have something coming up here soon. Tyler, time to get into WWE. A huge week for WWE. Huge week for WWE Women's Champions. Hit me with your question.
Raw debuted on Netflix. This is a hard one. Reading my question directly from the Google Doc. Much tougher than it looks, Brad. I correctly predicted nearly the entire NXT New Year's Evil card. This is true. And SmackDown is still 3 hours. Can confirm. My question to you is right here. Who was your biggest winner from the week in WWE?
Ooh. Yeah, Giulia. I didn't even see it. I saw highlights. I haven't even been able to watch it yet. And I have to say it's Giulia. If not a person, then the biggest winner this week was easily Netflix. Easily Netflix. It wasn't the WWE. It wasn't any of the talent on that show. Definitely not. It was Netflix. The disgusting display of Netflix corporate love for 3 straight hours. It was Netflix. I have no other words other than it has to be Netflix. And if it's a person, it's Giulia, because we finally get to see her crowned. And I think she's going to have an awesome run.
Yeah, it was a lot throughout the night, particularly during the Rock segment, which, by the way, him opening the show, great choice. The entrance still gets me every time. I know, Brad, you mentioned to me off air, there were students in your class who said they watched. They saw The Rock. They love hearing about pro wrestling's reach, particularly with this new deal, as you pointed out. There's a lot of different possible answers here.
Mm-hmm.
You chose Giulia. That's a great one. Obafemi, new champ.
Yeah.
CM Punk beat Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, Ulafala, Rhea Ripley, one of your favorite wrestlers on the planet. I know I saw the eye roll. I'm also disappointed Solo did not win. He had so much more to gain from a win, but they say let it play out in wrestling. We'll see about that. Okay, Brad, here are my 2, and then I'm going to give you which one I selected. Option A for me, the Inglewood fan base / humanity for their response that we got to witness when Hulk Hogan came out.
I knew this was gonna be either a what did we miss or it was gonna be something here. I knew this was coming.
I'm gonna
let you cook.
This is the fun. Thank you for that. This is the funniest moment I've seen in entertainment. It's so long. I
had to leave the room. I was so embarrassed. The secondhand embarrassment was so bad. I was like, oh my God. Poor Jimmy Hart.
I felt bad for Jimmy Hart. I don't know, and we only know so much about celebrities' personal lives. I don't know much about what Jimmy Hart does in his free time, but by all accounts I've seen and heard, seems like a solid dude. I know he's even in Arizona every so often for events in Tucson and Phoenix where he can see fans. So he comes out, the classic Hulkamania song, which is still a bop. I must confess, I still do like it. Don't like the guy though. But he comes out, Jimmy Hart is behind him waving the flag. And you just hear these boos just raining in from the entire, what feels like the entire Intuit Dome. And of course, I saw on IG, WWE production totally edited out the boos when they posted, "Hey, Hulkamania is here." It sounds like, yeah, yay, which was not the case at all. We know what we saw at WWE. So Hogan's there to talk about Real American Beer, and he says, "Well, you know what, brother? I've had many tag partners over the year. Macho Man Randy Savage, boo. Andre the Giant, boo." The fact that he was trying, right? He's still a worker. We saw it at the RNC. We saw it during the Netflix debut. He was trying to get the crowd on his side.
Yeah, trying to win him back hard.
But Inglewood was having none of it. This is not my answer, though, so I'm going to pause myself here. This was definitely a contender for Gutbuster of the Week.
Yeah.
It was so cathartic. So Inglewood is a big winner. Just humanity in general off that, a big winner. However, I'm going to keep it very Arizona, although I'm pretty sure now they reside in California. Nevertheless, Nikki Bella is my biggest winner from the week.
Yeah.
I know you saw this as well,
Yes.
Brad. Apparently, the clip of her in the audience received a lot of attention. Well, let me rephrase this. Not just received a lot of attention on social media, but outdrew any other potential viral moment from the night. Simply the camera going to Nikki Bella. She did her Nikki Bella, spin and what have you, and just received a riveting reaction from the crowd. So much love on social media. And it's amazing because I don't know at the time that we really foresaw Nikki Bella really resonating with the fans because she was obviously still in that Divas era. She even main evented Evolution, which we forget. But history has really looked back on her run in WWE super fondly. Of course, also, this is coming off just a few months ago. This was, I think, Q3, Q4 of last year, where there was that alleged domestic violence situation with her husband, Artem, from Dancing with the Stars, and they have a child. So I just love that Nikki Bella seems happy. We're giving her flowers, and who knows, maybe there's one more match in Nikki Bella's future. I know she has a podcast. She has a wine company with Bree, so she may be completely on to other ventures. But I love that we recognized her and her greatness. And Bill Simmons, I don't know if you caught that. Bill Simmons was seated
with the phone case.
Was seated next to.
Yeah. Yeah, he was on his phone, but then when they cut to Bill Simmons, and he held up the Boston Celtics.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The back of his phone case. Yeah.
Okay, that's right. That was good. I'm admittedly someone who does enjoy Bill Simmons and the Ringer quite a bit. That was really good. And even just in that moment, I saw there were captions that said Bill Simmons is fighting for his life. He was seated right next to her, and he was just like staring straight ahead.
Yes.
I'm a big fan of the Bellas, and again, as the years have gone on and they've been out of the ring, I'm glad that we look back and are so fond of what the Bellas did, because I think they really helped usher in that transition from the Divas era into what we have now. So I love that. 100%. Nikki Bella is my answer for biggest winner of the week. Shout out to her.
You know what? If I could go back, I'd probably go Macaulay Culkin. He might have gotten the biggest pop of the night.
It was great. He's a worker too.
Anyway, yeah. I thought it was awesome. It's not his first time being on a WWE camera or being ringside, or certainly, but he had the head down and then the little swipe reveal for his face coming out of the Home Alone bump about a month ago, where everybody's watching Home Alone as part of their routine for Christmas movies. Check out our Christmas specials. And it was awesome. So I thought production wise, super fun night, but we'll get into that here in a second. Tyler, we could talk about Giulia. We could talk about Hogan. We could talk about the OTC and Rio. We could talk about a Saudi Royal Rumble announcement. We could talk about the entire Netflix debut and the almost 5 million people that viewed it, but I want to focus on payoffs. Tyler, we've been interested in what The Rock whispered to Cody. You and I have talked about it on the show a ton. I sent you text this week about the Pavlovian responses to big wrestling moments and entrances, especially great in the WWE. And we got 4 major stars on Monday. One of them got booed out of the building, and poor Jimmy Hart caught a stray. John Cena came out for what felt like 15 minutes to say he's going to be in the Rumble. The Rock came out and broke character while loving up Netflix and hitting a few Maui pops in what felt like an acceptance speech for corporate greed. The rest of the wrestling stories were great, but the wrestling felt very safe, probably to ensure new viewers were excited and it felt familiar without injuries or high risk or anything like that. Tyler, were the expectations for the Netflix debut met for you, or did you have disappointment in the payoff?
I think they were met. To me, this past week in wrestling, I know we usually get into AEW talk later, but I'll just kind of tease it here. To me, this week was another example of the contrast that not even just fans, but I believe WWE is really leaning into. In ring wise, I wasn't blown away by what we saw on Netflix, but I don't know that they ever guaranteed us, in ring work or in ring action that was going to blow our minds, if you will. So the show was heavy on those in-ring segments that you mentioned, Brad. The Rock opens the show. John Cena, at least 15 minutes. I didn't have my timer on, but it was a long speech to say, I'm entering the Royal Rumble and I am likely to win it. But in ring wise, it was Roman versus Solo, which we know Roman's matches. And we acknowledge the OTC. I got my one up in there right now for audio listeners. We know Roman tends to work a certain style of his matches. There's going to be run-ins. There's going to be, X, Y, and Z. But there's going to be a really great story, which I believe they delivered on, even if I disagree with Roman being the victor. Rhea versus Liv, CM Punk versus Seth, right? These were all very... whatever was lacking in ring-wise, I think they made up in production, in story, in just general aura of this being a big fight feel. Now you contrast that. AEW, we know, is where if you want to see some banger matches, that's the company you go to. But then at the same time, we criticize because often there's a lack of story involvement. So I was speaking with one of my colleagues on campus this week. He's a lapsed fan who is now getting back into it. And I was just telling him, like, yeah, WWE, the aura, the storylines, the production. And he was like, oh, yeah, I definitely experienced that on Monday. First time I've watched Raw in years, but I get that. And then I was telling him about AEW and saying, well, in contrast, the in-ring work tends to be something you definitely got to tune into. So payoff-wise, it's interesting now. Had we not gotten the Hogan Boo moment, I may have a different answer. I just was not going to hate on the show after that happened, but I know that's not necessarily to your question. I felt satisfied overall, but it was because of the spectacle of it all. If we're just talking about the in-ring work, yeah, I was left wanting more, but there's no denying the stories were top tier. And even if I disagreed with an outcome or two, I can't disagree with the build to get here was incredibly well done, particularly for the main event. I would argue Rhea versus Liv went on a little bit too long for my taste in terms of the story, right? But there's no denying, even if we had to wait a really long time to get to where we're at, that being the women's match showcased for Raw's Netflix debut, Rhea Ripley to be the victor and then to have that moment with The Undertaker, even though it didn't do anything for me, for her to have that and for fans to see, oh man, the last time I watched Undertaker was fighting. And now who's this badass woman who's next to him? Okay, I'm going to check out Rhea Ripley. It made a lot of sense. So I felt fulfilled. I thought the payoffs were fine. Moving forward, though, I wonder how WWE is going to maintain the momentum for Raw starting this week. Mm-hmm. And then B, hopefully this isn't just a 3-hour promo for how amazing Netflix is. I hope that was a one-night only affair, because that felt more like, I forget how you phrased it, that felt more like a pitch for corporate greed and capitalism than it did, let's have some awesome fights tonight.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. It's like they booed Hogan out of the building while simultaneously buying tickets to a company that's sending their second biggest show to Saudi Arabia. And
We haven't even talked about that on there.
no,
I think people
struggle.
know how I feel. Yeah.
I struggle with that, going like, well, we still haven't addressed that they murdered an American journalist, but whatever.
Yeah, they
It's
totally did that. Jamal Khashoggi, totally. Mm-hmm.
yeah, and it's I don't know. I have a hard time reconciling that, but I also understand
while selling real American beer.
while selling.
So we're
real
leaning in
American beer, and that was exactly
we're leaning
what I
into
was gonna say.
that, but then
Yes,
we're
yes, yes.
announcing that
We're gonna reel American our ass to a different country for a different show.
That's a heck of a juxtaposition, my friend.
So I understand going like, oh, okay, we're going to do that because we're also a global force for change that we want to see. So it just depends on your perspective on all of this. And I try to remind myself that every time. I just think it's funny when you're booing something and you're like, I won't get the stuff that I disagree with what's happening across the world in different nations that do these different things. So I'm going to stay home and watch Disney, which is in bed with all those places that you're mad at. So
and then
inevitably
we go down the list of the
Yeah.
corporations, the companies we support, and then we just do this pro and con. You know, what am I willing to sacrifice versus not?
Yeah.
I really like those Nikes. I got to get those Book One Sedonas, but you know they've had kind of a checkered past. No pun intended. It's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah. So I just try not to think about it and try to just focus on what I can control. And what I can control is watching the show. I completely agree with you. I'm actually surprised I'm saying that. I thought we were going to disagree on some stuff. I know I sent to you like some of the matches and the pacing. It was the matches were just slow, but they weren't surprising. And they were good. They told a story. They had a lot of drama. Every moment felt important in it, even though it just felt like some of them were a bit of a slog. I thought Punk and Seth was going to be a lot faster and a lot more ferocious. The like last couple of minutes were what I expected the whole match to be. And it was just very slow and methodical. Not necessarily bad. It was just very slow. And I wasn't expecting that. But I probably should have. And I think that's what I meant by safe. But that story was earned. That fight was earned. I don't know. Same as I said last week. I don't really know what the right choice was there. I think it would have been really interesting to see what happens if Solo would have won. But I think Roman was the right winner here, because the story in either way is going to be interesting. Now what is the story coming out of this? Okay, he won. He's the bloodline lead. He's the tribal chief, undisputed tribal chief. What happens with Bloodline 2.0 now that Roman is the tribal chief? Is there going to be a time where he's got to force them to acknowledge him? What happens if they don't? What happens with Jacob Fatu? What happens with I can't wait to see what happens next. I think that if it would have been Roman, it would have been like, you have to acknowledge me, and he would have been stuck having to acknowledge him. And then what does Roman look like as a lackey? And I just don't think that makes good business sense for the WWE versus storyline sense, which would have been a lot of fun for us to watch. But taking your marquee guy and making him a henchman that's not gonna
work for me, brother.
Yeah, I had to talk myself into that, going and from a business standpoint, it doesn't make sense to have Solo win that, only because then you're making him you're essentially your number one B guy be a second or third tier henchman, going like Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa are at the same level.
On the depth chart, Roman is certainly ahead of Solo. I just worry about what is next for Solo? Because he's been positioned for a year as being in that next generation of stars for the company. Leaving this, I worry about.
Maybe this is the time where it's if you want to be back in my good graces, I'll let you acknowledge me, but you got to prove it. Go out and win the title from Gunther.
Interesting. Wow.
I think that could be a way in, and then suddenly you got Roman gets strapped again. Solo is strapped.
Yeah, Jacob Fatu is getting gold at some point. I would imagine singles gold. I'm thinking maybe
he's the one that takes down Nakamura. Maybe
that's interesting.
I don't know.
And to your point, last thing I'll say about this: if Roman doesn't win that match on Raw, you don't get the moment after with The Rock coming out and teasing potential friction of, okay, For example, if the long play is going to be if the long play is going to be Rock versus Roman, if we are getting that in Vegas this year or the next year or in 2035 when Freya's in high school, if we're getting that, this is going to be another seminal moment of, okay, if Roman loses the Solo, Roman versus Rock, I don't know, does it have the same cachet? Because wait, you can't be fighting for head of the table, final boss status because Roman already lost a Solo. It needs to be Rock versus Solo in that scenario. So if we are going to end up getting Rock versus Roman at some point, which would make all the sense in the world, this seems like it would be a pivotal building block to get there. Roman defeating Solo, proving he is the head of the table, even if we know maybe Rock's long game is he's going to turn on Roman and say, no, I've always been the head of this family.
Well, does he have to? Because they made a big deal this week, and this is again breaking character once again.
I struggled with that.
And that's why it's so confusing, is because they kept talking about how he is a high chief.
Yeah.
I'm the high chief. He's the OTC. And it's like, okay, but hold on. You're in the same tribe. He's the tribal chief. You're in the same tribe, in the same culture, the Samoan culture. You're a high chief of the culture, not just the tribe. Does this not make him a duke to your king? Because who cares if he's a tribal chief? If you're above all of it, it doesn't matter. So there's no reason now to feud with him. You are in charge of Roman Reigns. You're acknowledging it by admitting that you are a high chief. But if that's not part of the Rock character and it's just Dwayne Johnson, high chief, cool, dope. That's awesome. I think that's really cool because I don't think Roman Reigns is an actual tribal chief. I don't really think that's how that works. But for storyline purposes, now you're adding real life with not real life. That's normally awesome and really good. But you've just muddied the waters because you said, great job, Cody. Really appreciate you. You've been amazing. Couldn't be prouder of you. All this stuff after saying, I hate that guy. I don't want to beat the bleep out of him. Instead, it's, I love you, Ari Emanuel. Netflix is my favorite.
Yeah,
we all love you. Business. I love you, Cody.
Mm-hmm.
And then go forward 30 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever. Well, 45 if you throw in Cena. And then he comes back out to put the Ulafala over his neck and
slowly doing it, teasing, oh wow, is he about to rock bottom Roman? And then we're on the fast track to April. It didn't happen. Roman entered the Rumble.
Exactly. So I don't know if that was a tease or if it was just like, what do we do now?
Well, and it seems like, Brad, you remember.
Was that The Rock or was that Dwayne Johnson again?
Yeah, no, that was a part I struggled with. And then we didn't even talk yet about on NXT. He closed the show after the Giulia victory, after the Obafemi victory. Oh my gosh, he's going to be there. He's going to the Shrine in LA. What does it look like, The Rock in a smaller venue? Tons of aura. The promo itself was just not, it just wasn't substantive. In fact, he basically, at one point he said, you know, they're not superstars right now, the NXT roster, but like you're getting to see them now and they may be one day. Obviously, I don't think he meant it away, but the way it came off was very, he's kind of shooting from the hip. He had a backstage segment with Ava.
I saw that.
Very cool.
That's awesome.
And on screen it was like, I don't really know what I'm going to say. Ava, daughter, can you tell me? And she basically said, we'll speak from the heart. You'll feel it. And then he got out there and it was just it was definitely organic, but it was certainly lacking in substance. It was an odd way to end the show. I get why it ended NXT, but Obafemi winning that, Oba and Giulia being at the front of the stage with the confetti flying out. In hindsight, that would have been a much stronger ending than The Rock just talking and saying words without anything substantive. But he did say, hey, I've been seeing he didn't say online, but I've been hearing that people have been saying, oh, Rock, you're being too nice. But last year they said I was being too mean. And he definitely tried to address the issue that a lot of fans had with, wait, how are you best friends with Cody now? So on one hand, I kind of appreciate that he acknowledged it, but again, I guess that's total pun intended. But that's something I did struggle with Netflix's Raw debut was, wait, I thought Rock and Cody despised each other, at least on screen, we know. And the fact that they just sort of seemingly made amends. And then we had the Netflix after Netflix shout out. That was a part that, again, storyline wise, payoff wise, I don't know that I want that to be the end of Final Boss Rock versus American Nightmare Cody Rhodes. To me, that was a strong contender to main event night 1 or night 2 of Mania
Agreed.
this year, and maybe still is, but it just seemed like a very, very odd direction to go in.
I think that would have been a perfect time to have him come out off air or after the show. But when you're going to do script, do script. And when you're going to not do script, then not do script. So there's a difference in, depending on the wrestler, a press conference could go either way. They could be in character. They could not be in character. Lots of times they are, and sometimes they're not. It just kind of depends. Like MJF is always in character backstage, but the other ones are like, well, when I decided to come back, I wanted to do this. I really wanted to work with this guy, blah, blah, blah. And it's like in the ring, they hate each other, but in reality, they're like really good friends and they wanted to do this together. I think that stuff is really interesting, but it makes sense at a press conference, and Rock doing press conference things to start Raw, where it's like, welcome to the show, long-term viewers. We're going to destroy the story for a few minutes. It just bugged me a little bit that it was during Raw. Ultimately, did it lessen my enjoyment of it a lot? No. A little? Yeah. It was confusing. But again, to your point, I was so excited about the production element, the fact that we were getting these stars, that we got payoffs for the other stories and closure. I think the key there with Rhea wasn't Rhea winning. It was Rhea riptiding Dom
Yes.
finally and ending it.
That was a Mania moment we got to see. Definitely.
Yeah. So
Definitely.
having that, there were a lot of great moments, and ultimately I really liked the show.
And the arena choice was spectacular. Having
Yeah.
the debut be at,
and the timing couldn't have been better.
Arguably the coolest arena in the country. Phenomenal.
And I don't know if it would have been that way if you go forward 3 or 4 days because of the fires. So
right. Absolutely. I even put in our notes here, Brad.
Same.
I mean, I don't even know the proper words to say other than please visit redcross.org or check out the description section of this episode, where we've included information on how you can help our California neighbors. Brad, I think you and I both know people, colleagues, students, maybe family who are in California, or maybe are themselves or have folks they care about who are in the areas that have been affected, particularly I believe in Southern Cal. So man, our hearts go out to everyone who's listening or watching us right now and is affected by this. So tragic to see the images and the videos coming out from there. I couldn't even imagine what that feels like. But please, again, if you're able to, visit redcross.org or the description section on this episode, and please consider giving what you can.
Well said, man. That's probably the best possible non-good transition we could have into promo of the week. But I know you have some things to get off your chest, so we're going to hit the music and jump into it. I can't wait to hear this. It's time for promo of the week.
And now, the promo of the week.
All right, listen, Brad. I have this man's action figure right behind me. That is the great one, the final boss, The Rock. I mean this with all due respect. My Papatui order came in today, as a matter of fact. Love the guy. Love
the shampoo.
This was not the shampoo.
Did you see the shampoo conditioner ad?
It
basically ends. It's like The Rock, and it's like natural products, all of this great stuff. My hair would have loved this.
Amazing. Shampoo for ball guys. Yeah. Here for it. No, I got a bunch of other stuff that I'll fill you on, like a face toner, and I put all my business out there. I got like an eye mask, like little things you can put under your eyes, and it says use this if you want sexy eyes. I ordered it before I saw the ad. They already had me, and then there was something else I got from it, but it was after I saw The Rock on Raw. I was like, man, this is the coolest dude in the world. I want to have sexy eyes like him. I guess I don't know what I was thinking. I just went to my Target app and bought it. But anyway, Brad, my point here, I almost totally derailed.
Got to support the small businesses.
Yeah. Got to support small business. So
a couple billion.
So The Rock, and this was again to add that I love him. I gave you a bunch of unnecessary context there. He may have disappointed you with his promo, or promos plural, from this week, but I am not going to with my promo. Brad, it's been a minute since I've entered the promo of the week stage, but I had to come back after this. You may have heard a few weeks ago, Suns owner Matt Ishbia announced an updated concessions value menu. Did you hear about this?
Mm-hmm.
He made this announcement to much fanfare. Waters, hot dogs, and more are now $2 or less at the Footprint Center. And what bothered me here, at first, I saw it and thought, okay, that's a really good move. Applause emoji. But then I thought, wait, Matt Ishbia has owned the team for 2+ years now. And it just so happens this announcement comes out while fan buy-in is as bad as it's been for the Suns in quite some time. The team is very average. It doesn't look like they're going to contend for a championship at all. So this promo is not only directed at Matt Ishbia, but more specifically, my people, my brethren who root for the Phoenix Suns, we cannot be this gullible. This was totally a decision to get you to buy tickets and to fill the arena, not out of the goodness of Matt Ishbia. We're saying, oh, Matt Ishbia, oh, he's the man, blah, 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 blah. This was not some altruistic mission. You're telling me Matt Ishbia just woke up one day and said, you know what? Glizzies are too expensive at the arena. We need to change that. A Dasani water bottle should not be $8. Let's fix that. He could have been doing that from the very beginning, as Robert Sarver could have, and everyone beforehand. Yeah. This is simply a way to sell more tickets, to get people to the arena, as should be his goal. But as a fan base, we cannot be so gullible. Just like when the Suns signed or got Bradley Beal, and we thought, oh, okay, we have a big three. We're not going to win anything. Okay? They just want you to get to the arena, to pay your money, to pay $30 for parking. Yes. Oh, yeah. This is not altruistic. Yeah.
On the cheap end.
This is simply a way to get you there to watch a very average basketball club, and I think we're better than that. And
that's great. I got to tell you, the $30 parking got me because
that's true.
It's 30 to 40. It just depends on what garage you're in. It's crazy.
We're gonna go Jefferson Garage, or we're gonna go. I usually go Jefferson. Regardless,
I think we parked over at Chase last time, and it was 2025. I can't remember.
Yeah,
it's just
sounds right.
It's just out of bounds for how much.
It's completely
how
out
much
of bounds.
Costs.
Great words there.
Yeah, well, out of bounds basketball, maybe a little on the nose. Tyler, it's time to get into AEW talk. Let's go.
Yeah, I can't believe I revealed my Papatui order. Why? Do people really care about my
skincare routine? Yeah.
Sorry, yeah, my skincare routine. I will update you though if you are.
If it maybe interested. If it said eyes, maybe it was misspelled for abs. Let me know. I'll rub that all over my.
Yeah, The Rock just he just has a lot of aura, man, and I think him being a pitchman for so many different companies, it's pretty incredible, his business savvy. But okay, regardless, here we go. AEW talk. I am ready. I hope you are too. Powerhouse Hobbs became #1 contender. Harley Cameron debuted her new music. I sent you a voice memo. I was very excited.
Yes.
And Kenny Omega shared a ring with Will Ospreay. Let's stick with the latter, if you wouldn't mind humoring me. Following Ospreay's victory over Buddy Matthews, Ospreay cut a promo encouraging Matthews to forge a path as a tag wrestler or even as a solo star this year. Now, shortly thereafter, Fightful Select reported speculation that Malakai Black is wrapping up his time with the company. If this is it for Malakai in AEW, two-part question. How will you remember his tenure? And what would you do with the remaining House of Black members? Would you keep them, Brody King, Giulia Hart, and Buddy Matthews, together?
No, I would not keep them together. Brody and Giulia, sure, only because at the end of Collision, I know you probably didn't get all the way there.
Oh, wow. I'm really showing my full self today.
Yeah, you are.
I did not watch the last 40 minutes of Collision.
So Cope met with Brody backstage. Brody was with Giulia and basically said, I've been a big supporter of yours. We've gone face to face, and I think it's time for you to run on your own.
Wow.
And it was just like what happened with Buddy.
And I watched Cope versus Big Bill. I saw the first hour 20 of
and it was so Brody King was with Giulia. He went out and killed some local guy, and nice. I think I actually was fast forwarding trying to get the spots, and I think I went too fast. I just saw some guy wearing plain green trunks laying prone in the ring, so I imagine it was one of those let me murder a guy so that we have a reason to get Brody King on TV. And Giulia Hart was with him backstage when Cope was talking. So I have a feeling that that's all kind of done, but maybe Brody and Buddy team together when the need arises. But I can also see Brody and Darby being a team in the future because of their ties and their history beating each other up. I think that could be a lot of fun.
That's a pick. Wow.
Well, like kind of a Batista Rey Mysterio partnership, right? Like Darby getting power bombed onto dudes.
Yeah,
could be something.
And the storyline, not only aesthetically,
power bomb coffin drop.
Oh geez, not only aesthetically would it match, and for that reason as well that you said, Brad, but this could also be the case of, hey, we've battled each other, you know, we've shed blood together.
Yeah.
We've been adversaries, but now what if we are a duo? And frankly, I don't know if this is a candidate for hot take tie, but I don't know that Darby Allin, that title reign is going to happen this year. It
feel like it.
All
feels
signs,
like kind of died.
All signs, maybe even continue to seem to point to he's going to be the guy to beat Mox. But if I had the pen, if I were running the show, I say Will Ospreay. Either Will Ospreay or Kenny Omega is the guy to defeat John Moxley. I don't think it's going to be Darby. I don't think it's Cope. I think you strap up Kenny or Will and say, clearly, these are the two guys. And I think the fan reaction would be incredibly positive, even more positive than Matt Ishbia lowering Glizzy prices to $2. Like if Matt Ishbia can get a riveting reaction from that, imagine if TK pivoted and say, no, it's Kenny or it's Will. And then I think that would do wonders for the fan base right now, because you and I aren't the only people that are lacking investment in the Death Riders right now. I did see Pac versus Commander, and I'm just like, this just isn't.
Well, we'll get to that, but
Audio and Wheeler are beat yeah.
So, to answer your question,
where's Marina Shafir? Can we have her in ring action? Okay, I'm done.
We'll get to that. I have my question will be all about that. I don't know if you'll be able to answer it since it was the last 10 minutes. However, you missed a lot at the end, my friend. Malakai Black, his legacy there.
One of your favorites.
Yeah. I mean, he's incredible. That character was awesome. It just seemed like it went nowhere. We had the House Rules trio stuff, and it was the best stuff going in AEW or all of wrestling at that moment outside of the Bloodline. And they simply could have made $1 million by keeping that going. Every single night they did it. It's just, I don't know what the hell happened there. So, I don't know what backstage looks like, backstage politics. I don't know all that stuff. I know he had some mental health stuff, which I'm not going to speculate whether or not it was just to get out of a contract, because I know that was a lot of the talk, where, you know, maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. I'm sure this is a business that causes a lot of just crippling mind bleeps and anxiety when it's like, I both have to perform well and look good and write my own material and do all of these different things. And I'm in the public eye. And if I don't maximize my public eye, then I don't get anything. And it just seems terrifying to me. And it takes a special kind of performer and athlete to do that. And he has every tool in the toolkit that he needs to be successful. I think that if he leaves, and the plan is to have him go back to WWE, which would make sense. I think they should pick up where they left off with that new Aleister Black character that just never ended up going anywhere, because he got released. I think that would be the perfect spot to pick up, go from there, have him be another dark character that is just sort of murdering dudes and going into the darkness. But his legacy in AEW will be they dropped the ball with him, never strapped him up with anything significant outside of the trios belts. As a single star, he could have been running the entire thing. Those House of Black promos where they step back into the shadows, all of that was so good, and it just didn't go anywhere, and it bums me out. Buddy on his own, yeah, been wanting that for a while. I've been wanting him to have a singles push. I think he should be wrestling every single person at the top of the company all the time. They got to figure out something, a character for him that people can latch onto, because he's giving me sort of Hangman Adam Page character before he went full dark Hangman, where it's like his character was he doesn't really talk and he holds a glass of alcohol, and now it's this, and it's great. They got to find something for Buddy to be like that, and I think the sky's the limit for that dude. Sad about Malakai, but I think it's as long as he's happy, that's all that's important, is that these people are happy and healthy. Selfishly, I'd rather see him in AEW doing what he was doing, but I think he's been wanting to go for a while, so hopefully it works out.
Yeah, I think back to when he debuted and having that feud with Cody Rhodes.
Yes,
and my recollection, I could be wrong.
Black
Let us know at GIPod 19. Yeah, with Ard. Yeah, exactly. My recollection was that was really the first sign of, oh, the crowd is turning on Cody.
Was that the gun to the head promo?
I think it may have been.
I can't remember.
I just remember Malakai Black debuting and the shift going to, okay, like we respect Cody, we're glad he's here, but Malakai is so cool, and we want him to kick Cody and Arn Anderson in the face at the same time, if possible.
Yes.
And then eventually,
100%.
we know, again, the crowd turned on Cody, and then Cody ends up in WWE. I agree with you. It started out with so much potential, and the House of Black's trios run as champs, that is by far my favorite.
100%
in the division, easily.
It's not even close to me.
I love what the Elite did. Of course, I'm a big fan of Death Triangle.
Not to me,
but there was just so much there. And if this is in fact it for Malakai, which storyline wise, it seems like clearly that is the case. I think he's going to be fine in WWE. I'm quite excited for him to come back for the entrance theme. No man has ever.
Hopefully he gets that back. Hopefully
at the Rumble.
Is it CFOs?
I think it is a CFO.
Then it's probably not happening.
That's very disappointing.
Yeah,
I'm disappointed with how it ended in AEW. I'm excited to see what's next for him. And great point about the mental health component of it. That's something that I don't think we discuss enough. Just, OLI, if you will, if I can use a Winchester trademark, outside looking in, the travel, the mental, it's just got to be so much.
Yeah, I want good things. So speaking of, the AEW Trios champs competed on Collision. Of course, they didn't actually defend the belts again. It's not really a thing in this promotion anymore, I guess. Too many belts, too many promotions, only 4 hours of TV time. But Kenny and Will are on the same side for now, and Pac finally wrestled. But maybe my favorite moment of the week, which is saying a lot because Dynamite was awesome, but maybe my favorite moment was Powerhouse Hobbs at the end of Collision, Tyler. You need to go watch. Coming out to the rescue, killing all of the Death Riders on the way in to stop Mox with the chair, about to hit Cope with the chair, and knocking the chair out of Moxley's hands with an incredible Grizzly Magnum slap after Mox hit him in the back and he stinged him, just kind of turned around and looked at him. Awesome. So we know that Jon Moxley loves Powerhouse Hobbs, real life. That dude, big advocate for him, thinks he's great, all that stuff.
Brought him into AEW.
Yes, exactly. I remember that. The overalls, right? So this is much harder since you didn't see what happened.
I'm really my full authentic self on this episode.
Yes.
This is very good. It's going to do numbers.
What are the chances Hobbs gets the dub on what's shaping up to be a fun Maximum Carnage?
Yeah. Forgive me, Powerhouse Hobbs, for overlooking the fact that you are the number one contender right now. I know it was in my intro, but then I went directly to Kenny or Will being the guy. I'm excited for this match. I'm super thrilled that he's getting this spot. 0% chance that he's beating Mox. I don't foresee it at all. I wonder if there will be a match stipulation leading up to Wednesday. I know it's being marketed as Maximum Carnage. There's Hook versus Christian Cage. There's the long overdue women's number one contender, Casino Gauntlet. That's the name of it. So I'm thinking man, maybe there'll be some weapons involved in this match. Maybe there will be some sort of stipulation added. I just don't see any way Powerhouse Hobbs is victorious. I fear that we're going to get Death Riders interference leading to Jon Moxley 1, 2, 3. Or if the idea is you want to keep Powerhouse Hobbs strong, maybe Jon Moxley gets him in the Bulldog choke. Hobbs is unresponsive. Referee calls for the match. That seems most likely to me. I would love the surprise. The element here that we haven't discussed, Brad, is this is taking place in Cincinnati, Jon Moxley's backyard.
Yes.
Maybe you could tell me there's a case to be made if this were literally anywhere else in the country. It's Mox's backyard. It's going to be jarring because I think we're going to see him and hear him get applauded by the audience. Moxley's winning. 0% chance Hobbs has any shot. But I think the match should be great, and I'm glad he's getting this spot. I'm
going to give him a bit of a chance. I'm going to say 50%.
Wow. I'm listening.
I'm on the 50% side that he's not, but I don't know. It feels like it could go either way right now. I think it's going to be like a bloodline match. You're going to have like the interference is going to happen, and then the baby faces are going to run out. You're going to get Cope and FDR because they've been beefing with them for a while. They're going to be running out, attacking them, and then it's going to be maximum carnage in the main event. And I think maybe Marina, while Hobbs is like hanging outside the ropes, just tees off on his skull with the briefcase. And that's going to be what costs it. Cause I don't know. I think I feel like his neck is too big reference is going to be made when he's trying to put him in the Bulldog and he can't make it work because Hobbs is just too big.
That'd be fun.
And the fact that there's not going to be any way he can get him up for just a paradigm shift. I just don't see that happening safely. And maybe they go Miro in there, go, his neck is the weakness. We'll see. I don't know how Moxley wins without tomfoolery based on how they presented him at the end of Collision. And I know that was to build him as a threat to Mox and the Death Riders going into it. I would love to see Powerhouse Hobbs as champ. I also think they're not going to do it because is Hobbs right now a big enough guy, not, metaphorically, to carry the belt for the company? I don't know. But I think this will help big him into that next tier up. And then maybe after that, he takes it. I would not be mad if he won and caused a wrinkle in this whole Death Riders thing. And maybe that's their way out of going, you missed the point. We didn't need the belt in the first place. You're all chasing this thing. We're not chasing it. We're here to run the company. You just want your little gold straps and stuff. Maybe they go that direction and be more cryptic and then do more stuff in the back. I don't know. It needs to go somewhere. And if this is the end of it, I'd be really happy with the end of it. Cause I'm just kind of tired of looking at it.
Me too. I'm counting down the days.
And it sucks because I love everybody. And to your point, I want to see Marina Shafir do more stuff, not just be a badass that goes with them.
Are we going to get the Marina Willow match or are we not?
Yeah,
I'm ready. We've been
I don't
ready.
want to, I'm tired of seeing her as like security.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I fear it's giving Revolution at the soonest for the title to change hands, assuming there is still a title, whether it's in the briefcase or not. But maybe more likely Double or Nothing, or maybe the move. This is probably the one I would select, Brad, is Mox will drop it on a Dynamite that they hype up for Max. I think that may end up being the move. Is they'll have it change hands on a Dynamite. When that's going to be, Revolution is a long time away. I think it's March 9th. I hope it's before then, but my guess would be it's sometime between Revolution in March and then, we also have Dynasty in April.
Yeah.
I don't think he drops before Revolution. I hope I'm wrong, but if you're right, 50-50 chance, maybe Hobbs.
I can see that now, how they set it up. They have Sting come back and Sting will come up and do a promo at the beginning of the show to talk about how great Max is.
Okay.
And then Bryan Danielson can come out to say he's entering the Casino Battle Royale, the next one. And then after that, we can have, I don't know, maybe I'm trying to think of somebody, maybe Ric Flair could come out and advertise his energy drink.
Woo Energy.
And then, I think it could be great. It could work. It could really work wonders. Tyler, I don't want to talk about this anymore. I want to hear about The Bachelor because I'm not watching it. And all I've seen this week was a lot of corporate shillery. So let's talk about a franchise that probably should have ended years ago. Let's play the music. It's time for a rose from Tyler.
And now for a rose from GI's most eligible bachelor.
2 points. What a fantastic lead in there. Very nihilistic. That was very good. And then also great through line, great thread throughout this episode. Okay. Maybe we're getting the hang of this after all. Brad, I told you I made a promise to our fans that I would keep you posted when news about Grant's season came through. Here we are. Now, granted, Grant's season kicks off at the end of the month, but we got the first look at the contestants of the season. I will confess, none are from Arizona, but here are the women geographically closest to us in the desert. Vicky, possibly your pick this season. Yes. This is true. Is a 28-year-old nightclub server from Vegas. Lydia is a 31-year-old venture capitalist from Salt Lake. So we are getting some West Coast action here. Ella, 25-year-old luxury travel host, my old job, from LA. Oh, wait, hold on. No. Yeah, from LA. I got it right.
LA. Yep.
I got it right. Thank you. Janae, I have so many notes for Batch. Janae, 27-year-old account coordinator from Colorado Springs, potential. And there's also Alexi, 27-year-old speech therapist from New Brunswick, California. I didn't know there's a new... Oh, no. That's not California. CA, Canada. I can read my notes. We have 2 contestants from outside the country. Again, Alexi, she is from Canada, New Brunswick, not California. And then Carolina is a 28-year-old PR producer from Puerto Rico. Very interesting. So, Brad, no bios yet, but there was the art, there was the pictures of each lady along with their age and their job titles that was shared. We'll see what becomes of this. We know Batch is usually scripted like a wrestling show. There are heels presented, there are faces, there's an underdog story, there's trios sometimes and some tag action, if you will. But also, finally, out of the Batch world, the first Black Bachelorette, Rachel Lindsay, officially settled her divorce with season 13 contestant and winner, Brian Abasolo, last week. Check this out, Brad. Lindsay was ordered to pay nearly $500,000 as part of their settlements. A year ago, Abasolo filed for her divorce, citing irreconcilable differences. This is not good, Brad, and particularly this news coming out mere weeks before Grand season worries me, because we know the first Black Bachelor, Matt James, his season was just full of controversy. Not all his fault, by the way, but it was full of controversy. It was very, very divisive. Divisive? I heard it said both ways. Which way do you say it, Brad? I say divisive.
I say divisive.
Yeah. Fair. This is why you're my man. So this news coming out seems very ironic that we're a few weeks away from Batch's next attempt at having a Black lead. I hope it goes well. I'm rooting for Grant. I like Janae. We'll see what happens, Brad. But shout out to you and Jessica and all the couples who are proving that you can maintain love, because I'll be honest with you, man, when I hear these stories, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is another example of how do you know that you found the right person? How do you know it's not going to end in a bitter divorce with money and property and all these things happening? What I've seen and heard from you and other trusted sources in my life is you never know. You just got to find somebody you mesh with who laughs at your jokes and hope for the best. I want Rachel Lindsay to be happy, and I hope Grant finds happiness this season. Stay tuned. We'll be providing updates all season.
Well, update on Janae. Janae is not 27. She is 28, according to the graphic. And
get out of here.
Yeah, 28, right on the graphic.
Oh my God.
Yeah, just wanted to.
From account coordinator from Colorado Springs.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. Very good.
Yes.
Good. I got that right.
Right now, my toss up is Vicky and Janae. Those are my 2.
Okay. Nice. I'm good.
I don't know anything about them, what they're like, but just based on these pictures, I'm picking Vicky and Janae.
Stay tuned. We got you.
That's it. And I don't know if you know a lot of couples that met on game shows, but most trust isn't built on television. Tyler, what did we miss? What did we miss this week?
So I hear. Okay,
speaking of, I hit puberty.
What
do we miss, man?
Yeah, this has been one episode for the books. Speaking of trust issues,
Lord,
TNA Genesis is this weekend. It's the company's first, like the company's first pay-per-view of 2025. A long time TNA fan. Dare I say, I'm a day one. And yet this show also is going to be fascinating. I don't know that I'm going to watch. It's headlined by Jordan Grace versus the returning Tessa Blanchard. Mm-hmm. Very likely Jordan Grace's last pay-per-view match for the company. And Nick Nemeth, champion, going up against the People's Champ, Joe Hendry. Likely the show is going to end in Dallas, or it's in the Dallas area, with Joe Hendry finally being crowned champ. So we will see what happens there. And then 2 final notes: the debut of Ashe Wrestling TV on YouTube. Episode 1 is now available. As of this recording, it has over 5,000 views. Cool. So great reaction for Darius Lockhart and company. And basically the way this is formatted, Brad, is Ashe's had a year of content to be filmed with essentially their pay-per-views. And now they're releasing that weekly, along with new vignettes and just other cool futuristic elements, if you will. So it's formatted every week, every Thursday on YouTube. You're going to get 2 matches and a live music performance. Episode 1, frontman Jossie versus the Jet Kevin Knight, reportedly free agent, the Jet Kevin Knight, very, very great wrestler, and Trish Adora versus Aja Kong, which was the first main event.
Wow.
In Ashe pay-per-view history. Very, very
I didn't know
big
that.
look.
Why didn't I know that?
Yeah, very big look. It's been a minute. It's been about a year ago. So anyway, super proud of the Ashe team. I'm really excited to see what they do. And then finally, Brad, gimmickinfringementpod.com. There is a new article up. It's entitled January's playlist. I give recommendation for the artists that I'm enjoying to start the new year, including possible Royal Rumble entrant Bad Bunny. He has a new album out. The people are really enjoying it. I thought it was very good. So check that out, gimmickinfringementpod.com. And Brad, thank you as always for not only putting up with me, but maintaining a very, very beautiful website. That is what we missed this week. I'm going to pass it to you. What say you?
I got a few things. We already addressed them. The LA Fires was one of them. The first week back, my first week back, that was another one. It was a week. It feels like 3. I can't believe Monday was of this past week and not 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. Absolutely wild. It's such a surreal feeling. LA Knight, I got to shout out LA Knight, had one of the funniest moments of the week when he kicked Jacob Fatu out on SmackDown and said he didn't use his inside voice, so I put his ass outside, is one of the funniest lines I've ever heard. Oh, so good. And then I saw some stuff pop out about corn. Bear with me here. A trade panel in Mexico was forced to allow genetically modified corn after considering not using it under the trade agreement. This is purchased from the U.S. The yellow corn is used for animal feed, and it is modified to be Roundup ready. It has to be replanted every year. It can't just regrow. You have to get the GM seeds and replant. So you become dependent on it. The problem is that it can cross pollinate with other corn in the area. And now that corn doesn't grow correctly or get the nutrients or even be able to be replantable. It was a big thing. Mexico was trying not to do it. And the U.S. sort of said, no, you're doing it under the trade agreement. You have to. And then a panel in Mexico decided to do it. So it was a big victory for giant agrochemical farmers, a not great victory for smaller non-genetically modified corn, or at least the Roundup ready corn that could have helped out there. But it's one of those things where we get to see these giant corporations that are out not for the long-term benefit of health and wellness, with all these things being linked to higher rates of cancer, hundreds of research studies linking them to cancer. It's just unfortunate to see that we're making money off of trying to make it less healthy for even another country, not even just our own. And it really bummed me out, man. I'm trying not to be a downer on the way out here, but it really sat with me as we look at the cheering of a company that's going to do one of their biggest pay-per-views in Riyadh and not stateside, just for the money's sake. So yeah, it's on my mind. People that are affected by the fires are on my mind. That's what we missed this week.
Yeah. Well, I think first of all, thank you, Brad. I did not know about that. When I hear you say that, it's a reminder to me of how important it is to look out for your neighbor, whether it's your neighbor,
100%,
your classroom neighbor, whether it's your neighbor in your neighborhood or wherever, man. Just looking out for people and their wellness, and that chase for money, right? Like, it can just bring out the worst in people and companies. Is your ethics can get really compromised if at the end of the day you're looking at the bottom line, you're looking at staying in green. So I appreciate you educating me, because I had not known about that. And man, we gotta do better and spend our money with people, with businesses, with companies whose values match our own. In the meantime,
small wrestling promotions, you could start there to bring it back to wrestling. Go support local wrestling, local organizations, local pro wrestlers trying to make a name and trying to grow and become part of the industry. All that's super important.
Well said. Shout out WrestleDrag and all the people doing great work here in Arizona. More on that in future episodes, I am sure. In the meantime, you can follow us at GIPod19 for exclusive show updates and more. Follow Brad at WindDuster. We thank you so much for being here, and we'll see you next week. Gimmick Infringement is a part of 19 Media Group. You can listen to us on Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you find podcasts. You can also find us on YouTube via the 19 Media Group channel. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share.